If you hold that anger in your body, like what it does to your nervous system, you are stuck. Well, it's kind of like holding a beach ball under the water, right? Like at some point, it's going to pop out of the water. Like you can't hold it forever.
Welcome to Awaken Her, the podcast where women find their strength and transform their pain into power. I'm Corissa, your guide on this journey of healing, growth, and empowerment. Here we share the real stories of women who have faced life's toughest challenges and emerged stronger, together with expert insights to light your path forward. Whether you're seeking to heal, grow, or empower your life after heartache, Awaken Her is here to show you that not only is change possible, but you are capable of achieving more than you ever imagined. Let's dive into today's episode and take another step towards becoming your most empowered self.
That's kind of the message that's given. And a lot of what we see in our society is that we feel uncomfortable with grief. We feel uncomfortable when you are sad. We feel uncomfortable when you want to talk about your feelings for the 5,000th time, right? It's okay. And we usually find a point where our friends and family go, okay, aren't you done? And so that's where reaching out to a coach or a therapist or somebody who can help you process those feelings and thoughts can be really helpful and hold that space for you so you can just feel all the things. Because a lot of times we hold back and we say, well, I don't want to put all of this on you, but I'm still trying to process it. So it still comes out, but you don't get the full effect of processing it effectively.
Yeah. And then what I see a lot of times with my clients is they just completely shut down. They go into a freeze state or they look to things to numb themselves from actually feeling their emotions because, like I said, it can be very overwhelming. And so when they come to me, a lot of times we have to do a lot of work around getting them out of that freeze state that feels safe because it's very familiar to them. They're dissociated. And when you're dissociated, it's like you're not feeling your emotions. That's what's happening. And so we have to do a lot of work with their nervous system to make them feel safe again so that they can process the emotions, they can feel the emotions and allow them to be expressed in whatever way is most comfortable for them. And it can be a process and it can take time. And so what I would love to just kind of say is that don't let anyone else pressure you to move through your process any sooner than you're able to. And you might be constricted by the flexibility of your nervous system to do that because if you try to do it too fast, too soon, you're going to end up back in that freeze state. You're going to end up back in that dissociated, not feeling my feelings state because you have to survive. You have to get through the day, right? You kind of go back into that zombie mode of, I'm just going to ignore and stuff down all of these emotions because they're too much so that I can just get through the next hour, the next 2 hours, the next day and a half, or whatever it might be. And, that's not the right way to kind of go about this. So when you're working with clients, I imagine that you're allowing them as much time as they need to talk about how they're feeling without feeling judged or feeling like they can't share and express what they are going through and they don't have to filter it, which is, that's beautiful. I love that you're doing this.
Yeah. And in fact, a grief coaching session is so different than a life coaching session. So for me, it's about just holding that sacred space for you to feel and process whatever it is. There's no agenda on my end. It's not like, with life coaching, it's like, by the end of this session, I want to be here. No, it's like, what is here? That's really the key is what is here? And then let's sit with it. Let's feel it. In your body, what does it feel like if you're comfortable going there? And not everybody is, and that's okay. And I'm never going to push anybody beyond where they're comfortable going because the client is always in control. But how do we just be in that? And what I find is a lot of clients that I see for grief coaching, I don't know if this is just a knack of mine to pull this out of people, but I get a lot of anger expressed. And I'm like, yeah, let's get in this. Let's feel it. Let's move it through our bodies because if you hold that anger in your body, you know, like what it does to your nervous system. You are stuck. And that's not a healthy place to be. We can't feel safe to move through those emotions. So let's move all of this anger and this energy. Um, and so that's a big part of what I see happening is that people don't feel safe to express the anger and the frustration. And so they stuff it, they hold it down and they say, it's not polite. It's not okay. Nobody wants to hear this. I'm going to be considered irrational or erratic or too emotional. And so like they come into my session, I'm like, let's get it all out here. Like, let's just lay it on the table and see what is here. Because once we admit that we feel angry, oh man, we can move through that so much easier.
Yeah. And do you find with your clients, though, that the anger oftentimes is masking something underneath that they're too scared to look at?
It's usually like, I think there's an element of like disempowerment, right? We're feeling like we have no choice. We're feeling like we can't express ourselves, or we're feeling like somebody else was in control of our life.
Hmm.
And so it's about first acknowledging it, recognizing it, moving it, and then deciding, how do I take that power back? How do I bring that power back to myself? How do I cut those cords of energy that I am leaking out into these other people I've had relationships with that I'm still angry about?
Yeah. Yes. I think that for the women that I deal with, there's a lot of repressed anger for sure. 100%. Because I think, especially as women, we're taught that anger is not ladylike, it's not polite. You need to be kind, you need to be the good girl. And it can feel like it's a unsafe, like you said, an unsafe emotion to express.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes when we have that much anger or frustration within us, we're afraid to open it up because it feels so big. Like, what will happen if I let this go?
Well, it's that idea that if I can stuff it down, I'm controlling it in some way, and
Mhm.
if I let it all out, that uncertainty, the unknown of like, well, now I'm going to be out of control can be really scary. So it's that fear of the uncertainty, the fear of the unknown, the fear of what if I lose control? Then what happens?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like holding a beach ball under the water, right? Like at some point, it's going to pop out of the water. Like you can't hold it forever.
Yes, absolutely. It's interesting that you mentioned beach ball because one of the things that my mentor talks about a lot with just trauma in general is that, or just even stress, we all have a swimming pool that is filled with beach balls. And depending on how big our swimming pool is or how big the beach balls are, will depend on how much we can actually hold, what we're capable of holding within us, right? How much stress can we handle? How much adversity can our nervous system take on at a given time without kind of snapping, without the pool overflowing, without the balls all popping or falling onto the ground and losing control. And so, there's this idea that like, because this is something that I want to say is that if you are going through a living loss and someone else is going through something similar, don't compare yourself to how that other person is processing it because they might have fewer beach balls in their swimming pool than you do. So they might have a greater capacity to handle it. But don't make yourself wrong for struggling. Don't make yourself wrong for not being quote unquote over it yet. Thank you for tuning in to Awaken Her. Today's conversation may have ended, but your journey towards healing and empowerment is ongoing. Remember, every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow stronger and more resilient. If our stories today inspired you, consider sharing this episode with someone who needs these empowering messages. I'm Corissa Stepp, cheering you on as you take the steps to heal, grow, and transform your life. Keep believing in yourself, and until next time, stay empowered.